Hello, it's Daryl, 10-foot truck, good attitude services. I'm not doing a job today. Just I noticed the last job I did, the truck had been sitting a while, and it got really cold. Now it's not that cold. It dropped pretty cold at night. Last night, it dropped to like freezing in the morning. But anyway, when I went to start the truck, it really lagged. The battery was like, it was. I was like, oh God, I hope my battery's not dying. But then, of course, when I drove around, did the job, came back, the battery worked fine. So I just wanted to let it sit for a day and see, because I do have to go out and drop some stuff off. And then I might be doing this job. It's going to be long distance, so I don't want to have a dead battery. I've had to go out 45 miles out. So if it's lagging, then I'll have to get the battery tested. I just got my car fixed, so I'll be doing some deliveries of the car. It was a gasket above they had to pull the manifold off, but it was a gasket that was sits there where the heater is, like a hose, or it's something that goes into the heater and the coolant system. I don't really know, but he showed it to me. It was leaking, so he fixed that, and it was a pretty good, reasonable price. Because I thought it could have been the head gasket, but that would have been a big problem because it was leaking quite a bit. But thank God for that, because the car's in good shape now, so I can start doing some deliveries of the car. But I want to make sure the truck's good, because if I have to do a long distance run, I do not want to be stuck somewhere without a battery. So let's see. Here we go. Listen to this. Not too bad, actually. That's pretty standard. It was 2 days ago. Was it yesterday or the day before when I went on the job, on a junk removal job, and it was like, and I know that batteries, when it gets really cold, they can be drained from the cold. I know that, like, if you let them sit too long, because in the wintertime I don't drive that much with a truck. I drive with a car because that's four-wheel drive. But truck's not four-wheel drive, so I don't really, when it's snowing, I'm not out there much in the wintertime when it's snowing. So a couple winters ago, it got really, really cold, like sub-zero. I think it was even like 15 below zero. So I made sure, of course, that you have enough coolant in your motor. That's important, because you don't want your block to freeze and all that, or do you want any problems with your engine freezing up. So that was fine, but I had let it sit for maybe a month because it snowed real heavy. Like, it was snowing that year. It snowed really bad, and like I couldn't take a truck out at all for like a month. And I was driving the car because the car had snow tires and all that. I was doing my deliveries of the car. Then I decided maybe it's getting so damn cold, I better start the truck up just to see, because I was curious, because of how cold it got. And I went to go fire it up, and it was dead. The battery was completely drained. So I basically jumped it with a car, ran it for a while to get it going, because I couldn't drive it anywhere. Best thing to do is to drive around. Like when I did my last job, and like I said, the battery would sound like it was a little bit low. And it still could be an issue, I don't know, because when batteries start to go, I don't know how old this battery is, they will lag a bit, and then eventually, I think I had a car battery that's like that it was a long time before it actually completely went dead. So I do have to keep an eye on that. That's why I'm testing it out. And then our best thing to do is to go take the battery and get it tested at the shop or something. Maybe I'll do that this weekend, because I got to drop off. I got some stuff here I got to drop off, donation. I tried to donate it to one place, but I want to take it to another place to give it a shot. If they don't take that item at the donation place on the weekend, I'm going to just go ahead and give it away. But that's besides the point. I'll get a chance to drive around, which really, charges up when you're out there driving around and getting on the freeway. Your battery will get charged up, as opposed to just sitting here like this. So, and it's best to drive your car anyway, as opposed to let it idle, from what I understand. I'm not a mechanic, so it's just what's worked for me. So the battery seems fine. I'm looking at I do have a gauge on here, and I've never really known. I don't know if anyone knows out there what the battery gauge. It's on your gauge on your not all cars have them. This truck's great because it has the temperature gauge, it has the oil gauge, it has a battery gauge. According to this, the battery is above, it's right in the middle. There's like, it goes from 9 to 19, and it's at 14, a little bit above 14, maybe 15. I don't even know what that means, to tell you the truth. I would assume that if it's, all I'm assuming is that if, you know, if the gauge doesn't, you know, like anything, like temperature gauge is right in the middle, when you start seeing your temperature gauge going up a little bit, then you know there's something going on. And I don't know anything about the oil gauge. I assume if the oil, one time on my pickup truck, in my, I had an old Dodge truck that when I didn't have this, when I was delivering with this old Dodge medium-sized pickup truck, I think it was a Dakota. That was my truck for moving and hauling, just pickup truck. And one time I got some work on it, and then I was driving. I was going to band practice, and I was on the freeway, and I did notice there was the gauges were going. I couldn't really tell which gauge, so I can't tell you it was the oil. But I did start to see some stuff going on. I always look at my gauges, just glance at them. And of course the engine light went on at that point, I think. And I pulled over because it just stuff was going on, you could tell. And when I got pulled over, I noticed it was oil all over, like basically the oil pump went. I don't know if it was a belt or what, but the oil pump was just completely done at that point. And I was on the side of the freeway, so I had to get towed. Luckily I had AAA, and I got towed out of there. So I do glance at the gauges occasionally to see if there's any changes. That's the only thing I know. I know nothing else about them, like besides, I do know the temperature gauge is pretty obvious. Gas gauge, the fuel gauge is pretty obvious. And all these gauges work. That's great. And then, so I don't know anything about the oil gauge, how that works, what those numbers mean. That's a good thing to look up because it's always good to know things. And of course the battery gauge, it shows a negative positive battery. A lot of newer cars. This is, of course, an old car. A lot of newer cars are. I mean, I don't own a new car. I own old cars. This is a 2006. This is old. It's not old to me, but it's old, I guess. 20 years old. And the car I own, the car is 2010, so that's 15 years old. So, and then before that, I had an old Kia, and then before that, I had a 20-year-old. I don't have any experience in unless I rent a car. I don't have any experience in these new cars and all the computers and the screens they have now, because I'm sure it's all different. There probably isn't even any gauges, and if they are, it's probably computer screen. These are actual gauges. Here, I'll show you the gauges, see if we can see it. Yeah. See, these are the gauges. Let's see if I can get it in here. Those are the gauges, see? You know what I'm talking about? Old school.